For this video, we are going to focus on adding fractions with common denominators. If you look at the examples below, we have an example with common denominators, meaning that their denominator, or the bottom number of the fraction, is the same, and we have an example of non-common denominators, or uncommon denominators, where the denominators are not the same. We're not going to focus on these for this video. So we know what we can do. We can just cross this out. We're not going to use them for this video. That'll be the next video. We're going to focus on adding fractions that have a common denominator. So to do that, let's start off with some visual examples. If we were to pretend that these two circles were exactly the same, we would say that they were divided up into fourths. One section, 2, 3, and 4 sections there. One section, 2 sections, 3 sections, 4 sections over there. So it would take 4 pieces to make them whole. So our denominator, the number that tells us how many pieces to make a whole is, would be 4 for both of them. Now what if I said in this one we had one section out of those 4 filled in? Well, that would give us the fraction 1/4. And then in our second circle, let's say I had 2 sections filled in. This would give us 2/4. So if we wanted to add these two fractions together, it would actually be pretty easy because they're all out of the same amount of pieces. They're both out of 4 pieces total. So I can just say, oh, well, this section right here can fill in over here, and this section over here, I won't get all of it, but I'll get most of it, can fill in over there. So if I were to add 1/4 plus 2/4, well, how many pieces do I have in the end in my original circle? We got 1, 2, 3. So it would be equal to 3/4, because it takes 4 pieces to fill in this entire circle, and we've got 1, 2, 3 of them filled in. Now take a look at the equation that we created. We have our 1/4. Let me create again our 2/4 up here. So we got our 2/4. And then look at our answer of 3/4, or our sum of 3/4. It almost looks like all we did was add the numerator to the numerator, so 1 plus 2 is 3, and our denominator stayed the same. And that's exactly what happens when we add fractions together. If they have a common denominator already, all we have to do is add those numerators. Denominator stays the same. That's pretty nice. Let's look at another example. So let's take a look at our example now. This time I've drawn some rectangles. I've divided them up into 6 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections out of here. I have 2 sections colored in there, and I have 3 sections colored in here. Well, what do you think our fractions would be? This should hopefully be easy, but what are our fractions for each rectangle? What fractions are they representing? Well, here, since we have 2 filled in, our numerator is going to be 2. And since it's out of 6 pieces, our denominator is going to be 6. What is the fraction going to look like for our other one? Pause the video for a second, say it to yourself. What do you think the fraction is going to be over here? Hopefully what you say is, it is 3 out of 6, or 3/6. So now, if we add them together, whether I put the 3 pieces over here, or I put the 2 pieces over here, how many pieces do we have total in each of them? Now we have 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. Our 2 pieces original plus the 3 pieces original give us a total of 5 pieces in our rectangles. And it's still out of 6 pieces total. So it will be 5/6. That is 2/6 plus 3/6. As you can see, all we did, once again, add our numerators. 2 plus 3 equals 5. And keep our denominators the same. Alright, let's try one more and see what happens when we come up with an improper fraction. Alright, so here's our final example for this video. Take a look at the models that I've given you. This one on the left, this one on the right. Just like before, we're going to be adding them together, but first we need to create some fractions. So go ahead, pause the video, and think to yourself, what are my two fractions going to be? Hopefully after pausing the video, you said to yourself, well, I have 3 sections over here, so that's my numerator of 3, and there's a total of 5 pieces, so it's 3/5. Now when we looked at the other one, we also noticed, 3 sections are filled in, and it's out of 5 pieces total again. So we're basically adding the same number to itself, 3/5 plus 3/5. But when we add them together, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to have 1, 2, and then I'm going to have another piece right outside here. Now let's try it on the other side. 1, 2, nope, once again, another piece on the outside there. And if we add all this up, our numerators, 3 plus 3 is 6. And our denominator stays the same. So we get 6/5. Well, if we get 6/5, we can't leave it as an improper fraction. So we're going to have to remember how to take an improper fraction and change it into a mixed number. And now that we know how to divide, we can learn how to do it that way. So let's take a look at that. We've got, give me a second to erase, we've got 6/5. And a fraction is really a division problem. What this is saying is we have 6 pieces divided up into 5 groups. Or we could say it's the same thing as 6 divided by 5. So if we set up our problem with our division bracket, 5 is our divisor, it goes on the outside, 6 is our dividend, it goes on the inside. Well, we would say that 5 goes into 6 one time. 5 times 1 is 5, so we're going to subtract 5, and we're going to get 1. Now, normally we would say it's 1 remainder 1. But if we're changing a improper fraction into a proper mixed number, we don't want 1 remainder 1. We would take this 1 here, and that becomes our whole number. Our divisor is the same thing as our denominator. So it's going to stay the same. The denominator stays down here. And then that remainder. That remainder just means that we have a piece left over. So that remainder becomes our numerator. So if we have 6/5, it's actually worth 1 and 1/5. We don't have to worry about remainders anymore because we can take remainders and change our answers, our quotients, into mixed numbers, which is a much better way to do it. So there you have it. When we add fractions together, if they have a common denominator, the denominator stays the same. We add the numerators together to get our new numerator. And if we get an improper fraction, we can do some division to simplify it into a mixed number. Hope you enjoyed the video.